board and batten, shaker wall, wainscot. There's lots of different names for it, but it's essentially a wall panelling that you can use in any room of your home. So today I'm going to show you how to install this. It's a great little weekend project. It's inexpensive. You can do it on your own, and I guarantee you it will transform wherever you decide to put it. This is my downstairs toilet, and to be honest with you, it's pretty boring actually. Since we moved in a few years ago, I've not done anything in this room other than put a couple of posters up. And being a new build, it's just a white box with no features at all. So now's the time to shush it up a little bit, I think the phrase is. And I was thinking of doing a board and batten wall all the way around up to about this height, until I looked at the sink and the toilet and especially the plumbing and the waste and concluded that's just going to be too much of a pain. I don't want to really end up cutting paneling all around these pipes and fittings. It's just going to look a complete mess. So moving on to plan B, and that is to do a board and batten wall as a feature wall just on this one wall here. And if I make it a contrasting colour, it's still going to change the feeling of this room without doing all four walls, just like any other feature wall. So I'm just going to do this one wall, and before I'm going to buy any materials or do anything, with a little bit of masking tape, I'm just going to mask out what I'm thinking, just so I get a visualization of what I think it's going to look like, just to double check before I go and spend any money. Although I think masking tape is way overpriced for some reason these days, it's still worth using a few meters of it to help visualize whatever you're planning to do before you commit to anything. So that's very roughly what I think it's going to look like. I'm intending to use 100mm wide strips of MDF, 4-inch wide strips. So I've got one at the bottom, one at the top, that's just about a metre high off the floor. And then this sort of naturally breaks itself up into 4 panels. So one in the middle, one at each end, and one cutting the other 2 in half. So that to me looks around about right. It's a little bit weird using blue masking tape, but I think that's sort of the thing I've got in my head. I've also want to put some sort of batten on the top just to finish it off, maybe a rounded one. So with that in mind, I do need to go and get some MDF, and I'm going to be cutting this. If they can cut it at the shop, then that will save me a lot of time and effort. So I think it's time to get some materials. Ironically, while I was in the DIY shop to buy some MDF for this, I came across their ready-made board and batten packs that have everything already cut for you. However, it's only just cut MDF and doesn't include any of the top battening, and it works out, as you can imagine, quite a bit more expensive than doing it yourself. I bought 9mm thick MDF and got it all cut for free in the shop on their panel saw, so no need on this project to use a table saw or my plunge saw. Before I do any installation, I'm going to prime the MDF on the bench just to make it easier. Here I'm marking out where I need to paint and where I don't, mainly to ensure that when I glue MDF to MDF, my wood glue gets a good bond with no paint in between. The primer I'm using is my standard go-to Leyland acrylic primer and undercoat that goes on well and creates a really good finish if you use a foam roller. The 100mm wide strips I also sand, especially on the edges where you can still see blade marks from when they were cut. So it's time for assembly, and essentially there's 2 different ways of doing this. The easiest, cheapest and quickest way is to get your strips of MDF and glue and pin them to exactly where you want horizontally and vertically, and then paint it. And that's the way you do it. If you buy kits of this from the DIY shop or eBay, or even just cutting it down yourself. But I'm not going to do it that way. The first thing I'm going to do is put a board of MDF on this wall. And the more eagle-eyed amongst you would have seen me painting that just now. Now, the reason I'm going to put the board up first, although it costs a little bit more money, is, well, there's a few reasons. First of all, if you've got an uneven wall, it will even everything up, and these will fit a lot better against your board. Secondly, it gives this bottom section a little bit of depth, which I want it to, rather than being flat with the top. But the most important reason is that that board I can stick to this wall just with 6 or 8 screws. And then all of the pinning from these will just be done into that board. That means that if I ever need to take it off in the future because the boss has got fed up with it or the style has changed, I can take these off, and then with 6 or 8 screws I can take the whole board off, repair those screw holes, and I'm sort of back to stage one. If I didn't do that, then in the future every pinhole, and there's going to be lots of them, is going to damage the plasterboard. And especially if you glue on the back, when you rip this off, you probably take off the front face of the plasterboard as well. So I'm going to play it safe, put a board up first, and that's the way I would recommend, even though it costs a little bit more and it's a little bit more work. Now, to put that board up, I'm going to be screwing in through the plasterboard into the studs behind. So the first thing I need to do is to find those studs, so at least I get a decent fixing. Today I'm going to use the classic magnet method to find the plasterboard screws, which by definition will then fix the stud positions. I can then bring in my backboard I've just primed and fix it to the wall. I use a couple of shims to raise it slightly off the skirting and to level it up. With the top screws in, I can take out the shims and I can do the same at the bottom, drilling into the stud, but lining up using my laser level, positioned on the top screw to show me exactly where to drill at the bottom. Now, you would have heard me talk about this before, but just to have a really cheap laser that you can line up really helps jobs like this. This is my £20 one from Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below. And I use this all the time when I don't want to get the bigger laser out, the 3-axis one. It just comes in so useful. All I want to do is to put a screw directly down from this. It's easier than using a spirit level. And for £20 from Amazon, you can't go wrong. To cut the top rail exactly to the right length, I need to measure between my two walls accurately. So I measure from one side and make a mark at an even number, and then the same from the other side and add the two together. 490 and a half, that's 199 and a half millimetre. I cut the rail a couple of millimetres shorter than this on my £50 Parkside miter saw, which I'm using at the moment as I'm in the middle of changing things around in the workshop. I would highly recommend investing in a basic cheap miter saw if you're going to do a lot of DIY. It really helps with any cutting of timber or MDF that you need to do around the house. To fix the rail, I use wood glue and pin it to the board, just using an old electric brad nailer with short 15mm nails. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this type of nailer as it doesn't have a depth adjustment and mine just keeps on jamming, so I only use it when I don't have an alternative. Because of the lack of depth adjustment, I also have to then ensure that every nail is pushed below the surface using a nail punch, which is a real pain. With the top and bottom rails fixed, I can measure between them and cut the MDF strips to length and fix them in the same way. With regards to the spacing of these strips, firstly, the panels, I think, look right when they're approximately twice as high as they are wide. Once you decide how many panels you need on your wall, then you need to calculate the spacing between them. To do this, work out the total width of all the rails you're using. Here I've got 5 in total at 100mm each, so therefore 500mm in total. You then need to take that away from the overall width you need to cover, which in my case is 2 meters. So 2 meters minus 500 is 1500mm. Then simply divide this by how many panels you want. 4 in my case, so 1500 divided by 4 is 375. So that's going to be the gap between the edges of each rail. Nice one. On the top, I cap everything off with a bit of trim I bought that's got a ball nose on it, but you can use something like a piece of architrave or similar if you want a more ornate look. I then fill all the nail holes with wood filler. So that's the structure just about complete and just about filled as well, and because of the colour of this multi-purpose wood filler, it does actually look like it's got a bad dose of the measles. But don't worry about that, that's all going to get covered up when I paint it. So I need to let that dry now and then sand it off, and that will hide all those pin nails. I was intending to actually put some caulk around any of the gaps, but there isn't any because I use that backboard. All of the rails are actually touching it quite nicely. Where I have got a gap, it's so small that the paint that I'm going to put on is going to hide that. Anything less than about 1mm will get hidden with paint. So don't overdo the caulking, else all of your nice corners will end up all rounded over. So if you've got a gap less than 1mm, don't bother caulking it, just cover it with paint. I do need to seal around the outside, but I'm going to do that after I've painted. So all I need to do now is to let that go off, and then once that's got a little bit of strength, do a bit of sanding. As long as you don't coat the whole piece with wood filler, it's fairly easy to sand down the pinholes with sandpaper or sanding blocks without having to resort to using an orbital sander, which will create plumes of dust in a room this small. I can now mask around the perimeter so I can paint the panelling without getting paint on the walls. The paint I'm using here is a Dulux emulsion called Denim Drift in a silk finish, which is a sort of grey-blue mix. I paint all the inside corners and awkward sections with a small paintbrush first. And then use a roller to cover the larger flat areas. This took 2 coats in total, and I must admit the second coat came out really smooth with a great sheen, which I think is a combination of using a new foam roller and a fresh tin of decent quality paint. So with all the painting complete and dry, I use masking tape both on the panel inside and the wall side, so I can then apply some sealant and smooth it off. And with the masking tape removed, you end up with a really crisp edge on both sides. And the panelling, although it's really straightforward and essentially just strips of MDF, has just completely changed the feeling of the room and just makes it a lot more upmarket. This, I think, is a great little weekend project and will change the feeling of any room around the house, whether it's a downstairs toilet like this or your living room. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, check out Patreon and my Amazon storefront, and I will see you next time.